So Jeff, I heard you present yesterday on a panel at the AT&T Developer Conference talking about the vertical markets and industrialization of vertical markets. Tell me about, maybe in your opinion, the challenges of IoT that people aren't talking about today.
Sure. Well, from an IoT perspective, it really has to do with the device, the network, and the application. So at the device side, a lot of times you have to deal with, and part of what was discussed yesterday was about sensors and sensor technology. And so you have to be able to integrate those sensors into a device and have devices that have the ability to be able to take that information and then schlep it up to mothership. Part of the problem has been in the past that you have wired connections and cables and all that kind of thing. Well, nowadays with short-range wireless, a lot of those issues go away. And so it becomes more of an issue about protocol rather than necessarily the physical interfaces.
So you talked about the firmware over the air, and you're going to update this DNA, if you will. There's kind of 5 major issues there. Can you walk us through some of those challenges?
Sure. One of the areas that is most important when you have a device which is remote or mobile, or there's no person behind it like there is with a telephone, is the ability to be able to modify that device's behavior or to upgrade the software to fix issues over the air. And most people focus typically on the application part of that problem. What's interesting about it is that there's actually 5 different pieces to firmware over-the-air type things. So, for instance, the radio itself has baseband application to be able to interface it through 2G, 3G, 4G type. Even incrementally in any one of those Gs, you have to do some upgrades to make sure that the device is still working properly, the actual module itself. So that's one. Secondly is a lot of times there's application space and an extra processor on the module itself. So you have the ability to be able to upgrade that application. Thirdly is the device has a SIM. And so from a SIM perspective, you have SIM Toolkit to be able to write a Java application. And you also have PRL lists of the carriers that you might be able to want to be able to transmit the data through, in addition to other types of configuration information on the SIM. And then in addition to that, the 5th area is really an application processor which may be outside of the module. And so in a lot of cases, most people only focus on that 5th case, whereas the problem is much more complex to that. And then you wrap around that the fact that you have to be able to do it securely, and you have to be able to do it with version management, and you have to be able to know when devices are actually connecting, that's when you need to be able to update, and maybe the device is not connecting through your own home carrier network, and so you want to hold off a little bit because there's economic costs involved in rules. So there's a lot of complexity just with that simple concept of device management.
So how is Numerex positioned today to solve some of these complexities?
So Numerex, really being an end-to-end provider of the device, the network, and the application, is positioned to be able to overcome some of those types of difficulties, because in the applications that we deploy, the application may be different in a vertical market, but the device management is all the same, and the network management is all the same, and the application management is all the same. So by providing a quote-unquote portal that allows you to not have the swivel chair problem, right, and actually have a single interface to be able to manage the device, the network, and the application, allows you to also do things not only more efficiently but also much more secure.
So when you're talking to customers today, whether it be a carrier or a vertical market customer, what's the value proposition? Are you an API platform, or are you a turnkey solution provider?
Managed service provider. Okay. So the answer is really that in the M2M and IoT is really moving more towards the enterprise. It used to be there's certainly a lot of startups. There's going to be a lot of opportunity there, and there's certainly a lot of divisional managers and project managers and product managers that are still trying to figure out how to deploy incremental capabilities to, or implementing service capabilities to a current product that they deliver. But what's really moving the market is large, Fortune 2000 deployments at the C-level in the enterprise. Right. And for that, Numerex provides a solution where they don't have to go out and stitch together all the different pieces. They can go to a single throat to choke in order to provide the device, the network, and the application.
Does it have to be cellular based, or can it be any type of network?
No, we provide lots of different hybrid solutions. On the short-range wireless side, we provide a lot of capabilities to be able to aggregate the information. We also send the information through Ethernet and Wi-Fi, and we have hybrid devices both internally and ones that we partner with other people that go through our platform that are both satellite and cellular.
Going back to the API platform, companies like Apogee have made a lot of hay and raised a lot of money by being this application layer, but making the life easier for the carriers and also making it easier for the over-the-top guys to connect into carrier networks. How would you compare and contrast what Numerex is doing to, say, these over-the-top application API platforms?
Sure. So in the MDM world, a lot of the sort of services that you want to be able to provide are things like location information services. Okay, and so for instance, one of the areas that we have a pretty good sized market in is in offender monitoring. It's a very difficult market from a location information service because these are people that do not want to be tracked, right? It's in areas where you don't necessarily have GPS connectivity. Okay, so indoors and outdoors. Very much similar to the other area that we move in, which is supply chain. Inside of a factory or inside of a warehouse versus outside, right? And so from an interface standpoint with an API, what you really want to do is not have to have the end user customer or the supplier to have to worry about all that. Abstract them from all that nonsense, okay? And the way you abstract them from the nonsense is give them a latitude, longitude, altitude of a particular device, and you know what? Let me worry about how I'm going to figure out where that device is, and I'll also give you a relative idea of its accuracy.
Thanks for your time.
Absolutely.